wanna heal?
Yeah.
Wait, I gotta feel it?
No.
Ooh, I just don't know. But I wanna grow. Where can I go? To a safe place.
Hello, family, and welcome back to a Safe Space podcast. Why are you still an acquaintance? Join our family and click the below link and subscribe to our YouTube channel, A Safe Space Podcast. Today, we continue our conversation on the second time around. What you saying? What you saying, second? In the room today, she's an all-around entrepreneur. Even though you may know her as the co-owner of Buttons, Formal Wear, and the Bahamas Bridal Show. People, she is a boss, and she is remarried after divorce. Please welcome Miss Makeva Wallace, my girl. What you saying, Kiva?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. So happy to be here with you.
You looking so cute. I love these colors. I love how the nails just matching the outfit.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I try.
I know you always looking good. Always.
And so do you. Look at you.
Thank you.
Oh.
And after I got separated, I say, even if I feel bad, I still
gonna
gonna
look good, right.
I still gonna look good. You ain't gonna, I feel bad, I look bad.
Right.
No, that ain't happening. But for you guys who don't know, I have models for the Bahamas Bridal Show for almost 20 years. And when I say we have fun,
Ooh, child.
we have fun. So if you're interested in modeling, contact Makeva.
That's right.
And also, my ex and I were, I think it was the 2007
Poster couple.
So I never thought that we'd be here talking about divorce, Makeva.
Well,
Yes.
you know, life be lifing.
Life be lifing, and it is what it is.
That's right.
So, Makeva, can you share with us a little about your divorce story? I know you're remarried now, but your first marriage and your divorce story.
Well, for me, I got married very young. And that's because growing up, I came from a family where, and I have a huge family, and I come from a line of husbands and wives and children, and you know that the nuclear family.
Yes.
And so that's all I knew. And at age 18, I had my daughter.
Very young.
Very young. And I married her father.
Okay.
Despite my better judgment. And, you know, I got advice from people, you know, that's kind of young to settle down. You know, you don't kind of know what you want. But I'm like, listen, I grew up knowing that, you know, mother, father, children are supposed to be in the same household. Yes. And I saw that all my life, and that's what I wanted from my family.
I understand that.
And, you know, and I was in love.
And we think we know exactly what love is.
Oh, yeah. So at age 20, I married my daughter's father. And by age 24, we were divorced.
24, you were divorced. So
At 24. And, you know, we started out, it was, I think we kind of, you know, like these days, you know, they say the red flags. So, you know, you sit back and you look and you was like, boy, I saw it all.
Hindsight is 2020, but hello.
Yes.
We shouldn't judge today's decisions by yesterday's wisdom.
Yes.
We were not wise back then.
No.
We were
But,
not.
you know, you see certain things and with hopes that, okay, in marriage, things will change.
Yes.
And so that was my hope that the little problems that we were having, you know. And so.
You know that you don't think like that now.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
We learn from our mistakes.
Yeah. And so it was difficult for me because, you know, some of the bad habits that he had, he never got rid of those habits. And it came so close to home that we just, you know, that was, I mean, his oh boy.
I could just imagine. It's a lot.
I
could see it in your eyes. It was a lot.
It was a difficult time. And so we just decided that, you know, that was when and it's no secret. So he had another child in our marriage. And I think that was the final straw for me.
That was the final, that was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, because, you know, I was willing to work through, we did counseling, you know, we did everything that we were supposed to do. And it didn't work.
It just didn't work. And sometimes that happens,
And that happens.
You have to walk away.
And I realized too that even now with when people try to get married at a young age, I'm like, what you want at age 18 is not what you want again at age 28.
It changes.
Or
Sometimes
even
what I wanted last week,
even at 28, you don't.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing that you want at 38.
Yes.
So we just have to be careful and know that if we are going to decide to settle down, there are some serious conversations. There are some serious conversations that need to be had with your partner in terms of, if life changes, what do we expect to do with each other?
Yes.
If the time comes when I'm no longer interested in you, what do we do?
What do we do? And I think as women, we're evolving every day. Like I see sometimes different versions of myself, but I hope God sends me a partner who's able to grow with me, you know, and accept all those versions, because I'm changing. Even with me by myself, I'm like, girl, you're not the same person you were yesterday. Okay,
and that's how it is.
Exactly. So I can imagine 18 to just say 20 something is different. So I definitely understand what you're saying.
Different.
But one thing I would say, and I shared this with Nicole when Nicole was on last season, when I did come to the Bahamas Bridal Show and I was separated, which I didn't tell you guys yet. I looked at you. I said, Nicole never looked breakdown. Yeah, Makeva was divorced too. Oh, and Janelle divorced. So it's like almost like y'all were living examples that even though I was going through something right now, one day I'll start smiling again. So I thank her publicly for that now. Thank you.
Because
for that.
The thing is, time heals all wounds. And as much as separation or divorce hurts us, we can't just lay down and die.
Yes.
Because at the end of it, life goes on.
Yes.
And so you have to find that within yourself to pick yourself up and move on. And even if you can't find the strength within yourself, you have to surround yourself with people that can encourage you to move forward.
Yes. And even like you didn't even know you was encouraging me, but you were encouraging me. So I just want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So that leads into my next question. How did you pull yourself back up? I know you are remarried now, but how did you pull yourself back up from a dark space at that time?
It took a while, and like I said, my family is big and my family is strong.
Big and strong.
So they were the driving forces behind, what I was going through. And funny story. As I went to work, I was an employee at Buttons Formal Wear first. And my general manager, while it's good to have females that you can confide in, it's also good that you can have males that you can confide in, because you kind of get a different perspective.
That's true.
Of life.
That's
and
true.
and
We kind of think
relationship.
alike. We do.
Exactly.
Yes.
When we think that everything that we're doing is right,
Yes.
when
That's
it's
true.
not always like that.
Yeah.
And so I was able to sit down and talk with him, and he gave me from a male's perspective, things that I wasn't able to see.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh. And so me and my, and not that I was being selfish, but again, I just thought that the things that I was doing and I mean,
was
most
the right way.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we want to do things the way we want to do it. And we forget that sometimes we need to know what our partner wants and what our partner thinks, and just, respect that. And compromise is a very big word when it comes to marriage, relationship, whatever.
That's true.
And when you are able to compromise, then you find that your marriage is not going to be perfect, but compromise certainly makes things easier.
Yeah. Yes. But
the one thing that I would say is, don't ever compromise so much that you lose yourself.
That's great advice. That's great advice, because compromising is needed, but you want to also be true to yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. And not compromise your values or things that are really important to you. That's really good advice. So did you ever think that you would get remarried again? Was that something like right away you knew you were going to, or you like, or it took you by surprise?
I love marriage.
Uh-huh.
Marriage is a good thing.
Yes,
you know.
I know it's a good thing. I said it. I said last. It's a good thing. It can
Marriage,
be a beautiful thing.
yes.
if done.
Yes. And so, but I had no idea that the person that I was confiding in as my friend, that turned out to be my best friend, and now that person is my husband.
Okay. I know who that is. I know who that is. Y'all should know who that is too. But anyway, you leave that for later. Okay.
So I mean, like I said, it was you don't when you fall in love, it should be effortless. And that's what
It
happened.
was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Oh, look at you telling me, but I didn't even know it was effortless. I thought it was like you put in so much effort.
Hey, I had to put in no. There was no, because we were friends.
You were friends first.
We were friends, and we just talked and we shared a lot of stuff, and because we were both going through whatever we were going through.
Yes.
And so being able to find that common ground, and then we wake up one day and
Yes, common ground. And what I see from you too is I also see purpose, because I can see that you push him, like from
I
going from
push
20
him.
years ago.
He
but
pushed me.
He pushed you.
Oh, yeah.
We get to see you more from the Bahamas Bridal Show. But I remember 20 years at the Bahamas Bridal Show, it was like Makeva. But 10 years later, you had that like boom, 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 boom,
But you know what they say,
boom.
and so the saying goes, behind every great man, there's a great woman.
And it's vice versa too.
But behind great women, there's a great man.
And guess who told me that same saying? Your husband. I ain't gonna tell you when he told me that, but he told me that. Okay, next question. That's last. What were your expectations before you got married on the second time around? And how did actually being in marriage the second time around live up to those expectations?
So my expectations were very high because I knew the person that I was marrying. And again, I will say no marriage and no relationship is without its trials. But the one good thing that he and I have is communication.
That's key.
And so whenever, I feel that things are not going the way they're supposed to be and vice versa, we talk about it. We may get mad,
Yes.
and, I may turn my back for a minute or two. And he'll go to Florida and tell me he ain't coming back for 2 weeks. But,
Yes.
At the end of the day, you still have to know that, okay, I was mad, you was mad.
Yes.
Now let's
it's
kiss
okay
and
to be
make
mad.
up.
Just don't sin. Don't sin.
Right.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
When you're mad, keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah, we're mad, but that's fine. And
Yes.
so as far as expectations, I have no complaints.
Okay. No complaints. Y'all hear that, audience?
Yeah.
No complaints.
I mean, because it's life.
Yes.
There's no such thing as a perfect life.
Yes.
And so once you know that, you work together to make your life,
Yes.
your little circle,
Yes.
as perfect as it can be.
Imperfectly perfect.
Yes.
With you two. I get it. I get it. Were there any patterns you discovered about yourself that you might have carried in both? Or was it like it was no pattern? Did you ever see a pattern maybe with yourself? That you had to maybe break? That's something you had to learn, relearn?
There are, for me, I'm...
Take your time. Look at you. You guys want to say it. Our audience wants to know.
Okay. So I like to... I'm a shapely person. I like to believe. And so,
Shapely is good.
At times there are some things that you won't wear, that you ain't supposed to be wearing, but you wear it anyway. So for me, whatever habits or stuff that I have, it's nothing ever that was detrimental to either one of my marriages. It was just small things that can be worked through.
Yes.
So
I get what you're saying. Sometimes I still want to wear a little short sometimes. Like I do.
Yeah.
And then it's like you want to think but that's what I want to wear today.
Exactly.
Anyway, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The husband
And
to
then,
say, Do you
And
think
then
you got
see,
to?
and I'm a dancer.
And I'm an actress. I like to be somebody different the next day.
Yeah, and then so when I dance, it may seem a little vulgar sometimes. And so, but that's who I am.
Yes, and we dance together.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Makeva, you are our first-time guest, so you are to pick from our healing bowl. Please pick one of these affirmations and read it to the camera.
Okay.
And that is just for you.
Aw. I am at peace and will trust in the divine plan for my life.
I am at peace.
Yes.
We'll be right back after this therapist break. A special thanks goes out to all our sponsors. Jadazzle's Clothing, Hair by Onyx, Makeup by Ajua, Maybelline, distributed by Lowe's Pharmacy, Chatimere Natural Nails, and Patrick Robinson's Photography and Designs. Thank you again. Welcome back from the break. Do not forget to subscribe and follow us on social media also. Joining us in the room is none other than Mr. Tommy Stubbs, Makeva's husband, who told me that behind every great woman is a great man. And he told me that. And I said, yes, and vice versa. He said, of course. I just want to remind you. I said, okay. Tommy, you remember you told me that?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And Makeva repeated the same thing.
Yes.
You all two are very much in sync.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So I know that both of you were married before. This is your both second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
How was it co-parenting, that process of co-parenting and joining two families? Because I know a lot of people have stress just on that. They say it's not like the first marriage where you have your kids. That's just you, your husband, and your kids. Mm-hmm. Now you have to welcome other kids. Now you have to be okay with the exes. How was that process? Let's start with you, Makeva.
So I have just one daughter, biological, and he has 3 children, biological. And so our children were fairly young. My daughter was
7.
10,
7.
9, 10, about 10. But so for girls, because most times girls are daddy's girls, and she did have a relationship with her father, the transition was kind of difficult.
Yes.
But then her father died.
I see. I didn't know that, Makeva.
Her father died, and she was still very young. And so luckily, Tommy was there, to help, fill that void. And, when girls in particular become teenagers, well, children on the whole, when they become teenagers and they want to lash out, the first thing they say when it's time for discipline.
You are not
my dad.
You
not.
ain't my
That's the first
daddy.
thing. They get it from TV. I don't know where they get that from, but everybody say it. Everybody say it.
But I can tell you, my daughter, but eventually, she was matured enough where they were able to have a relationship.
Okay.
And something she would tell him that she wouldn't tell me.
Really?
And so when she got married last October, her father walked her down the aisle.
Oh, okay. That's true. She's married now.
That's right.
Wow. I remember when she was a little girl. Dang.
Married now.
Married now. Okay.
And so proud Papa walked his daughter down
the aisle. How was that experience, Tommy? And how was your co-parenting experience?
Well, first, let me talk about the wedding. A couple of weeks before the wedding, they didn't mention anything to me as to what role I was going to play. Right? They're like, oh, it's a stepdad. I'm thinking maybe she's going to walk herself, or maybe she's going to have a grandmother walk her. So I just candidly asked, so who's giving you away? She looked at me like, why am I asking such a dumb question?
It was done. Like that was obvious.
Yes. And so, because, you're in a position where you're not the only one who helped raise her. And I wanted her to know that I wouldn't feel
slighted if she did.
But you didn't want to assume.
No, and I
Okay.
didn't want to assume. So that was going to be okay if she didn't pick me.
Okay.
I don't get caught up too much in that kind of behavior where people feel that, oh, if you left me out, I'm going to feel bad about it and I'm going to hate you. Because people have their own personalities.
Yes, yes.
And I believe in letting people be themselves. And I don't want to be the downfall for people's anger or disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah. So what you want to know?
So how was the co-parenting? So that's Makeva's daughter, but you also have 3 daughters. How was that process of merging?
As a matter of fact, my 2 daughters, they actually stood in our wedding.
They stood in
Me and
In
Makeva's
our
wedding.
Okay.
So that was a great relief from the beginning. Once I knew that, I knew they were in support.
Okay.
However, everyone will tell you boys have a problem when it comes to their mother.
Boys, yes.
So my son, who's the eldest, he and I still have our challenges to this day.
To this day, yes.
After, I would say, over 20 years, we still have our challenges where old stories come up.
Yes.
And I just...
To this day. And
yeah,
you've been married for how long now?
10 years.
10 years,
Yeah.
okay.
And we dated before that, almost for 5 years.
For 5 years before you got
still,
married. But still to
you
this
can't
day,
get over
your
it.
son,
Yeah.
yes.
And go to, and I don't,
Yes.
and so the bottom line is, I always want people to know is that ask me if I'm happy.
If you're happy, don't say, when you say
Don't-
divorce, they be like, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You have to accept the fact that the persons who are in love or in marriage,
Yes.
whether they're happy.
Are happy. And
And
that's
and,
key.
And that's important. So
Yes.
if you're not happy, don't bring it on me.
Yes, that's key. And I like what y'all said. Girls and boys are so different because, yes, when it comes to me and my son, we have almost similar personalities. We want to talk all day.
Yeah.
But I was with my daughter when I got separated. Like I saw her personality like kind of decrease when maybe she wasn't seeing her father as much as she wanted to see him. And then so I decided that, we would definitely go 50% on back and forth.
Time.
And when she was able to see him whenever she wanted to see him,
It was
even if they
better.
were not in the same room talking, once she's in his presence, it's
access
almost
to
like
him.
she has access to him and she is happy. And I'm like, girls with their daddy?
Yeah.
Anyway, but my son will be like, but who, you ain't dating nobody, eh? What's going on here? Like they mommy, they are very protective. So if you heard they mommy, it's like, okay, you okay. And I and
But-
is it just a biology thing? Is
Yeah.
it just
But you got to remember too the fact that I did not divorce his mother, and so people must understand that it's not always the guy's fault. It was circumstances that led to the divorce, and it was she who decided that's what she wanted.
what she wanted?
And Makeva will tell you, I was not in favor of divorce,
Okay.
and she didn't believe that I would ever divorce my wife, despite what had happened to her. And so when my wife decided to divorce me, that was more understandable, and I was able to accept that easier than me leaving her.
Yes.
I never believe in divorce.
Yes.
Never. And I still to this day don't believe in divorce unless there's violence.
Unless there's violence. Okay. Wow. Or adultery or any not.
No, you could work those laws.
You could work through adultery.
You could work through those things.
But the
Things
Bible
happen.
say you could work through it, but some people who
Can't.
do go through adultery,
Yeah.
if two people are not ready to reconcile properly, it's very hard.
You can't continue it. You made a
if there's
mistake.
You
can't
if
make
there's
two.
adultery and both people can reconcile properly, you can
Yes,
work through it. But
properly.
sometimes one is not willing to reconcile and do the things because that's hard. You have to be in uncomfortable conversations. And some people, the person who sometimes committed is not willing to sit through those conversations.
Well, that's, to me, that's part of violence.
That's violence, right? So that's almost like emotional abuse because if I need to talk about it 10 times to get over it, let's talk about it 10 times to get over it because it's my process.
Well, while we're on the subject of divorce, one of the concerns that I had when I had the process is the 3 categories that the Bahamas use. You cannot separate or get a divorce based on what? There's only
adultery, then it's
violence.
And then it's
abuse.
one not irreconcilable. They don't have irreconcilable. It is the one where could be anything.
Yes, like shit. No, it's pretty much. The thing is,
I
you
have
cannot
no idea,
divorce
but
because you
it's
don't get
just-
along.
Yes, you cannot say irreconcilable differences.
You can't
but
get
there's 3
along.
reasons out there that you can
And-
say
and
why
this is-
you get
and
I
this-
know
a
abuse is
divorce.
one. It's mental abuse, mental and physical abuse.
Yes, but definitely I know what you're talking about. I feel like if
people can't-
irreconcilable, can you give me irreconcilable as a choice,
Yes,
please? 'Cause
yes.
sometimes it is irreconcilable differences.
Because there are a lot of people in this country, Bahamas, are married, but they don't live together.
That's
Yeah.
true. And
So
already,
why?
already have other relationships
Yes.
and married and
Yeah,
don't
why
live
we don't
together.
fix it? We need to fix that.
Yes,
Let
I
people
agree.
go.
I agree.
Yeah. We're in the wedding business, and so we are aware that there are persons who went to get married after many years of separation, but they realize that they're not divorced.
Yes, yes. So Tommy,
Yes.
you are now our first-time guest on A Safe Space, and you get to pick from the healing book. And look in the camera and read it. That is just for you, Tommy.
That's long. I release all emotional blockages that could be preventing my full healing.
Okay, Makeva, read it for
I
him. 'Cause
release
think
all
that's-
emotional blockages that could be preventing my full healing.
I release all emotional blockages that can be preventing my full healing. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, I'm Dr. Enrica Richardson, licensed marriage and family therapist, and a friend to the Safe Space podcast. Here's a tip for healing life after divorce. Remember to take some time for you. Taking time to yourself will not only help you learn more about yourself, but it will give you an opportunity to heal. Healing is a journey. In the safe space that you're going to create within yourself is the best way to get you to becoming a better version of yourself as you evolve to your next relationships. Remember, you know you best, but it takes some time to get there. We all need a little help sometimes.
Welcome back, family. Remember to click the link. And thank you again to our sponsors. Back in the room, we have Miss Christina. She'll be helping me with this segment called We Want to Know, where you sent in your questions and you told us what you wanted to know. Ria, this is a new segment. Isn't it exciting to know what the audience wants to know?
Yeah, it is exciting.
Exciting
to
for us
know.
too.
Yes, because we just simply don't know what the questions are, but
Yes.
you know something, we're going to get through it.
Yes, and even if we don't know, we are going to give you the best response from our experience.
Absolutely.
But before we get there, you heard Makeva and Tommy's story. What did you think?
Listen, their story is such an amazing story. I think the thing that stood out to me when Makeva talked about having to with her first marriage, getting married at an early age.
Yes.
That was something that I did as well. Got
Yes,
married at
I
an
remember.
early age.
18 young.
Well, I was 19.
19.
Yeah, I was 19 at the time. And, also having to hone in on the fact that at that time, do you really, really know who it is that you are? What is it that you
true.
actually want?
Yes,
And even when you
yes.
think about the growth and all of the development that actually happens over the years, what does that really mean for you? And not just for you, but also the person that you're married to. Because not every person, even when you think about the marriage, when you think about growth and development, if you're not in full partnership, that could mean a problem for that marriage as well. Because one person is seemingly excelling and the other person is just staying stagnant. And then it becomes an issue, because that's what it became for me. Because I was going after doing some stuff, and it was like, you're doing too much. So, it's definitely
You're doing too much. But you're growing into your purpose of what God has called you to be. And what I would say is, as also happens with healing, like when one person is starting to heal and become a different person, which is in a better, sometimes the other person is saying, I know, but that person, like, I didn't.
Yeah,
So-
it also becomes the thing, and this is one of the things I want to have persons to be mindful of. Sometimes when you're entering into relationships, the thing that the person may say is the thing that they love the most, may be the very thing that they come back and say, something, I don't like that no more.
like that anymore.
I don't like that anymore, because
Yes.
you're strong, you're progressive, you're going
That's
after
true.
things. Be like, but you're doing too much. You're going after too much.
And
No,
that's
slow
what he
down.
was attracted
Slow-
to.
Correct.
Yes.
The thing that they were attracted to now becomes the thing that they're saying, something. I don't like
now,
that.
since you was wife, slow it down a little bit. Slow down. Yeah.
So be mindful of that, even as you're going into relationships, and just knowing who it is that you are.
Yes, exactly. It's very important. Then when you know who you are, then you are able to recognize if they are pulling away from your purpose. Because find out your purpose while you are single and get to know God. So here's the segment. What does the audience want to know? Something easy?
I don't even know. All right, let's see. I don't want that one. I don't want that. Let me see if I can find this. Okay. All right. All right. So, how to reconcile properly after adultery?
Oh, we was just starting to talk about that with
Well,
Tommy.
what had happened was
Okay.
So this is definitely not something. I won't necessarily say this is from experience, but I could talk about from experiences from others. In terms of how do you reconcile, one of the key things, and I think would be probably a common thread, is having to go through the communication. And in those instances too, where you need to have a third party that's involved, a pastor, a counselor, a therapist, that can provide you with the necessary advice or even some of the tools that you can use to help you to navigate. What are some of those things that you may need to do? And it's a partnership. As you're in a partnership, you have to agree that this is something that you're going to walk through. In order for you to come to the point of reconciliation. And it's not, I would liken this also to the healing process. It's not to say that you're going to forget that this thing actually happened, right? But while you still remember that something may have happened horrible to you, or a situation may have occurred, what are some of those things that you're going to do to make an intentional effort in order to now make this marriage work?
Yes. What you just said was key. Intentional. Intentional is key. This must be the last question that came in because I don't remember reading this question. But I would say that I can talk from experience on this question because my ex-husband and I was not able to reconcile properly after adultery. So the first time, I know I wanted to try to make it work. I wasn't the one who committed the adultery, but I was the one saying, let's make it work. How are we going to make it work? Let's do something different. Let's go to the this is the fourth or fifth council. Let's go to counseling again. So I was the one initiating all of it. And I feel like he did comply, but he never initiated it. And so the nail in the coffin was the second adultery. And you know what? We went to counseling again. And eventually, the last counselor told me, do you want to spend another day the same way you spent the last 15 years? Wow. And that was a hard question. He didn't answer for me, but he asked me that question. And I went home after that and I said, I cannot spend another day like how I spent the last 15 years. And I was always, no matter what, I was always the initiator. And I feel like sometimes if you hurt somebody, sometimes you need to initiate the healing. Communicate and initiate the healing. And if that person who was I have a friend who say the hurted person is the hurted person, let them be able to talk as much time as they need to. Some people need to go into detail when it comes to adultery. Some people might not need to go into detail. Let them be able to talk. And if you are the one who committed adultery, you may need to sit through those uncomfortable conversations. Also, it's changed behavior. Like if you committed adultery and your phone is always locked, you can't, it's still on your pocket all the time. Your wife cannot. So it's all those things. You have to be willing to sit through those hard conversations and change your behavior so they can see that you really want to, because your actions must match your words. So that's the best advice that I could give on reconciling after adultery. That was a hard question. Who sent in that question?
I don't know. Somebody who wanted to know, and I hope they got the answer.
I hope you got the answer. So thank you, Ria, and thank you, family. Reconciliation is possible after adultery. See you next episode.
Yes, I want to heal.
Yeah. Wait, I got to feel it? No. Ooh, I just don't know.
But I want to grow. Where can I go? To a safe place. Talking about a safe space. Yeah, a safe space. A safe space. A safe space. A safe space.